Good day and welcome to News Now on TV360. I'm Thelma Okuru. The meningitis outbreak in Nigeria has spread to Cross River State in the south of the country. According to the state's Commissioner for Health, Iyang Abisang, one person has died from 23 recorded cases in the state. The meningitis outbreak started in Zamfara State before it spread to other states like Katsina, Sokoto, Kebbi, and Niger, Kano, as well as Abuja. Earlier this week, the Nigerian government confirmed the death of over 336 people in the outbreak. The Nigerian government has ordered over 500,000 vaccine doses from Europe to tackle the meningitis outbreak. Minister of State for Health, Osage Ehanire, told journalists that the vaccines imported from Europe are in addition to the number being used in the country. The minister says currently there are 2 treatment centers set up in every local government area in the state to manage the spread of the disease. Reactive vaccination for meningitis commenced in Zamfara State from Wednesday, April 5th, 2017. No fewer than 3,800 new cases of HIV infections have been recorded in internally displaced persons camps in Borno State, northeast Nigeria. This was confirmed by the State Agency for the Control of HIV and AIDS. Bakindo Saidu, who is the executive secretary of the agency, told journalists in Maiduguri that the new cases were recorded after voluntary screening in 15 IDP camps in the state. He says currently 2.4% of the population of the state, or about 108,000 persons, are living with HIV and AIDS, going by the demographic survey provided by the National Population Commission. This figure is alarming because now only 32 out of the 90 antiretroviral centers are still operational in Borno State. 5 Nigerians were among 35 women captured by the Islamic State fighters in Sirte, Libya, and turned into sex slaves for several months. The Nigerians, including 2 children and 28 Eritreans, were recovered by Libyan forces last December and then made to face another spell of detention in a Misrata prison in Libya. They have now been released by the Libyan authorities. They were received by staff from the UN Refugee Agency and the Libyan Red Crescent before being taken to a shelter for medical checkup. A bill for an act for the suppression of piracy and punishment for the offense of piracy has scaled second reading at the Nigerian Senate. The bill, sponsored by Senator Nelson Effiong, a senator representing APC in Akwa Ibom State, proposes the death penalty for sea piracy. Leading debate on the bill, Effiong expressed concern over the rise in sea piracy on the country's waterways. He says Nigeria, as an import country, must do everything to guarantee safe arrival of goods into the country.
The offense of sea piracy is treated in our Criminal Code Act. The Act makes general provision on robbery without distinguishing the peculiarity of the place of occurrence. Robbery that is prosecuted at sea should be recognized and isolated from those that occur on land, as it is done in other countries of the world, because the victims of such robbery may be citizens of other countries trading with Nigeria. Therefore, the test provision in Section 401 and 402 of the Criminal Code Act is insufficient, thereby making this bill inevitable. It should be borne in our minds that sea piracy in this country has grown into a worrisome economic crime. Hence, the need to curtail its appeal by passing this bill. Moreover, this crime oftentimes constitutes a violation of international law by forcefully taking ship away from the control of those who are legally entitled to operate the ship. Mr. President, according to International Maritime Bureau, IMB, while the incidence of sea piracy is dropping in other territorial waters, it is increasing here in Nigeria and the Gulf of Guinea. The observation by IMB is a clarion call on this distinguished Senate to make laws that will make potential pirates to weigh the enormity of the punishment that will be meted to them if caught.
The sea pirates have caused us very considerable embarrassment as a nation, and it has also done a lot of damage to our economy. the issue of the cost of insurance on goods coming from abroad has also been affected by the activities of these pirates. So I think they deserve the time given to this bill, and I would like to thank you for your very brilliant contributions. In the past, the Parliament have responded to this kind of call in making separate legislations for certain crimes that cost us national embarrassment, including terrorism, the obtaining money by false pretenses, corruption, and other such offenses, which are already in our criminal code and penal code. So we've removed some of those crimes and then placed them under special legislations in order to deal with it aggressively. So this too has come as part of the issues. I believe we need to give special consideration and have a separate legislation to deal with it in view of the embarrassment it's causing to all of us. So I'd like to thank you for responding to this. But I'd like to add too that in addition to the law we're making today, we must also take advantage of the development in science and technology to effectively monitor our maritime environment and also ensure effective and real-time response when the pirates strike, to ensure that not only that these laws will be enforced, but also ensure that those who commit such crimes are apprehended and punished effectively. In that way, the essence of this law would have been achieved.
A federal high court in Abuja has cleared Justice Adeni Ademola of charges of corruption brought against him by the Nigerian government. He was discharged and acquitted alongside his wife, Olabowale Ademola, and his lawyer. Ademola is a judge of the Federal High Court who was arrested last October in a late-night raid by the State Security Service.
We won the case, but I'm really happy for my good brother who has been able to pass through this period of tribulation. As I said earlier, I never had any doubt that we were going to win. I have maintained it, I've looked at the case, and I knew with God on our side. And this sends a message which the judge himself has succinctly put in his judgment, that the prosecution should not be hasty in just going to prosecute. They should do proper investigation.
The prosecution never had sufficient evidence, legal evidence, the sort of evidence required to prove a case. Rather, they have been conjecturizing, theorizing, and speculating, and that was exactly the import of the decision today, that what they call evidence actually did not amount to real evidence, but dwelt largely on suspicion, which cannot be enough to ground conviction.
Well, it's an interesting ruling. Clearly, we're not satisfied with it. We think that the court came to conclusions that it shouldn't have. But again, it's the ruling of a court. So we must respect it for now. We'll get the enrolled copy, look at it, and decide.
Now, the Emir of Kano, Muhammadu Sanusi II, has raised an alarm over the increasing debt recorded in the country. The traditional ruler stated that among other oil-producing countries in Africa, Nigeria is the only one borrowing domestically to fund current expenditure. He added that the growth of Nigeria was driven largely by rising commodity prices and debt, and the model has reached the logical limit with the collapse in oil prices. Over 15 million Nigerian graduates are currently unemployed. This is according to a new official data released here in the country. And now many blame the large number on the quality of graduates produced in higher institutions, saying that over 70% of Nigerian graduates are unemployable. To support this claim, they say many graduates lack required skills and knowledge. However, some say government's inability to provide jobs is the reason behind the menace. Our correspondent Flourish Alonge has more on that story.
In about 6 months from now, Joshua Anunobi, 21, will be a university graduate. He's presently a final year student at the University of Lagos studying economics. His dream is to graduate with a very good grade and get an instant employment with a good company.
Come out with a very good result. But I also like to get a good job first, to gain the experience, get the contacts, so when I start up my own business, I'll have people that can help me push it forward.
He says his dream may not come true, as he is aware that there are thousands of unemployed graduates who are still looking for a job years after graduation.
I've known about this situation for a very long time, even when we're in secondary school. We've known that this has been there for a very long time now. It doesn't scare me. I want to graduate, I want to have the degree and go out and help the country the way I can.
Joshua is not the only one caught in this dilemma. Every year, over 500,000 Nigerians graduate from various tertiary institutions. And according to a recent survey carried out, less than 40% of them are gainfully employed within the first year of graduation. And the numbers keep increasing by the day. While there are not enough jobs available, most employers say one big problem driving up the unemployment numbers is that Nigerian graduates are unemployable.
It is quite unfortunate that this is happening. And like somebody says 70%, but mine is above 80%. It's a sorry state of affairs, but we have to live with it.
It is a problem both the government and education authorities agree exists.
Definitely, I know it's a challenge. I mean, before I came into government, I ran my business for 13, 14 years. And one of the things I never liked doing was recruitment. I mean, you always worried about the quality of people you were talking to. So yes, it's a challenge we have as a country.
I would not totally agree with them. I'll agree with them halfway, because the crop of students that we have now are not particularly serious. A lot of them are interested in just a certificate. They're not interested in acquiring knowledge. So that's why I would agree partially with that statement.
But Kemi says most students are more interested in acquiring certificates and not education. She blames Nigerian employers for this, saying they seem more interested in certificates than in skills.
The Nigerian economy is such that believes in certification. If you don't have a certificate, you won't get a good job. And so people believe that, look, you need a certificate to get a good job. And so that's why they're interested in the certificate. They're not really ready to work hard for it.
As an employer of labor for over 13 years, Bank Olemo Obafela is of a contrary opinion. He says Nigerian graduates lack the required exposure and skills needed in the workplace.
I think one of the things we need to do in our tertiary institutions is to ensure that the best hands manage our schools. Our schools really now must be run like businesses, really, with a mindset to make your school competitive, because you know what, you're competing with different schools to attract students to your school.
While this blame game continues, one thing is certain: the country's education sector needs urgent intervention, and that will require the combined efforts of everyone.
I quite agree that sometimes, you see, there is a difference between theory and practical, you know. So in terms of theory, we don't lack that. We teach them the theory, and that is why a lot of departments are inculcating internship into their programs. Because if you've taught somebody something, if you don't allow him to have an opportunity to go to the labor market to put into practice what he has been taught, then he won't be able to fit in. So now, with this new curriculum, like I said, there's a point in time when our students will need to go to the labor market, and so they can put into practice what they've been taught.
We understand the fact that private sector and government must work together to solve major problems. All around the world, it's not possible for you to have your graduates that don't go through an internship or something like that to prepare them for the world of work, because the way the school setup brings you up is totally different from what you're going to need when you go into the marketplace. You know, it's a totally different things.
Nigeria currently has over 15.2 million unemployed graduates roaming the streets. Their hope hangs in the balance, with another 500,000 expected to graduate by the end of this year. The numbers will continue to increase until something is done to address the problem. Flourish Alonge, TV360, Lagos.
Nigeria state oil firm, the NNPC, has insisted that it has no plans to increase the pump price of petrol. The state oil firm revealed this in a statement issued recently. There had been fears that the fuel price would increase following the increase in bridging costs from 6.20 naira to 7.20 naira. This was done to appease tanker drivers who had recently embarked on a strike action to demand better working conditions from the Nigerian government. The Lagos State faction of the People's Democratic Party has pledged support to McAfee as the party's caretaker chairman. Speaking to newsmen in Lagos, the publicity secretary of the party, Taufik Gani, said the Lagos chapter of the PDP only recognizes McAfee as chairman. He also criticized party members who decamped to the All Progressives Congress and called for a re-election to fill up their vacancies.
We all agreed, having been hinted by the state chairman, Honorable Moshood Adegoke Sabado, that there was need for us to take a clear-cut decision on who to support in the leadership of the party. We all affirmed our unalloyed support for the leadership of Senator Ahmed McAfee's caretaker committee, and that in Lagos State we are one, and that as a fact we all in Lagos State do not really recognize the so-called faction, that it is a hype in Lagos State, because we do speak to ourselves and we are working in unison, especially because the local government election is fast approaching. 6 members of the PDP who are in the House of Assembly defected recently. We are doing our homework. One thing is going to be done. We are going to make our formal application to the necessary authorities for their seats to be declared vacant, and we will also want them to just allow that to probably come and now test their popularity in their various constituencies. If truly they are that popular, they should vacate. They should not even contest it in court and come and test their popularity in their constituency.
The Lagos state government has terminated the contract for the construction of a 48-bedroom hotel project at the VIP Chalet in Badagry, Lagos. The contract was awarded in 2013 to Anatolia International Limited. A statement issued by the Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Steve Ayorinde, stated that the decision to terminate the contract followed a resolution taken at the State Executive Council meeting in Lagos.
Corruption not in my country. That was a very good business. Yeah. The furniture you brought was very perfect.
That's how we roll.
Then let me do you receipts.
Yeah. How much was it again?
1 million naira.
Okay, write 2.5.
Mbano. The deal was for 1 million naira now.
Okay, write 3 million. I'll give you 500.
Oh no! I just do business like that now. Yeah.
Hey, that can give me back my check. Let me go and look for someone that understand business.
Take.
Your loss.
It is only for incorruptible customers. What are you talking?
Now get out.
What kind of this?
You will just die.
No,
you will die.
That is the door. Now get out from here.
Rubbish.
Look, my people. Make una only add money for original invoice price. That's not corruption. Say no. Not in my country. Corruption not in my country.
Welcome back. It's now time for business news with Fidelia.
Thank you, Thelma. Nigeria Central Bank says it will offer $100 million in currency forwards on Thursday to be settled within 60 days. The bank has been selling dollars to try to narrow the spread between the Naira's official and black market exchange rate. The currency was quoted at $3.98 to the dollar on the black market on Thursday, the same level it has closed the previous day. The International Monetary Fund (IMF) says the Nigerian naira is overvalued by 10% to 20%. IMF's mission chief for Nigeria, Jean Leon, made this known at a news conference in Washington. He said the IMF sees a need for foreign exchange adjustment in a bid to avoid further depreciation of the naira. Oil prices rose on Thursday, on track for a fourth consecutive daily gain after recovering from losses triggered by record-high U.S. crude inventories. Brent crude futures were up by 20 cents to trade at $54.56 a barrel, while U.S. crude futures were up 13 cents to trade at $51.28 a barrel. Now, the U.S. Energy Information Administration reported an increase of 1.57 million barrels in crude inventories late on Wednesday, bringing total U.S. stock to a record high of 53.5 million barrels a day. That's all on business. More stories coming up. Stay tuned.
Hello? Yeah, I found your wallet in front of a supermarket. Meet me at Apple Junction. Yes, I'll be waiting for you.
Now we find out. Two of us.
Thank you very much, officer. You know, it's surprising that men like you still exist in the police force.
Yes, so...
Oh, yes.
This is just a token of my appreciation.
Oh, no, you don't need to do this. We're only doing our job.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
You're welcome.
Now I know police is really my friend.
Yes.
Friend. Hey. Okay, which came up with this one? I don't understand.
You know your problem. You are greedy. I'm a policeman who is doing his job. All forms of corruption in the force. Not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
Welcome back. Somalia's President Mohamed Abdullahi has declared war against Islamic militant group Al-Shabaab in what is being seen as a key moment in his 4-month-old presidency. He announced an amnesty of 60 days for militants to surrender in exchange for training, employment and education. It comes a day after a suicide attack near a government building in the capital Mogadishu killed at least 7 people and a spate of kidnappings of aid workers by armed militants in the country. An explosive device has been found in a flat in St. Petersburg by Russian police. This comes 3 days after a suspected bomber on the city's metro killed 13 people. A city official said several suspects were held when police raided the flat early on Thursday. Now, Russian investigators are examining tape, tinfoil and some other suspicious items found in the flat. The Nigerian Football Federation president has come in defense of Super Eagles star Ahmed Musa, who was reportedly arrested by the police in Leicester City on suspicion of beating his wife. The forward was arrested on Wednesday morning on domestic abuse charges but was released later in the day after questioning. Following the news on Thursday, NFF President Amaju Pinnick has claimed that the news is false. The incident has, however, been confirmed by his club, Leicester City, who say they will take no further action against him. Nigeria's Super Eagles have continued their steady rise in the FIFA World Rankings. The Eagles moved up 1 spot to 40th in the latest ranking for April. It represents a steady rise for a team who were ranked as low as 70 in July last year. Meanwhile, in the overall ranking, Brazil ended a 7-year wait to return to the top of the world ranking after becoming the first team to qualify for the 2018 World Cup in Russia. Philippine boxer Manny Pacquiao will defend his WBO welterweight title in fight against Australian boxer Jeff Horn in July. The match, according to Pacquiao's advisor Michael Conks, is scheduled for July 2nd at Brisbane Sanco Stadium. British star Amir Khan had been Pacquiao's preferred opponent, but that fight could not be arranged because of the timing of Ramadan. That's it on News Now. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Thelma Okoro.